Hi everybody, I'm Sarah, the Real Simple Mama, and today is a video request. Ooh, I have been asked to do a video on how I clean out this coop and basically what daily chicken chores look like. Now I will be referencing some other videos if you want more details, more specifics on a particular aspect of this. And I do have a chicken chores video if you have like a coop kit, like a smaller kit. So this is basically just going to walk you through the day-to-day, like these are the types of things that I do sporadically. These are the types of things that I do every day. Just so you can see, first of all, what it looks like if you have like a bigger coop like this. But also, if you're maybe don't have chickens yet or they're not full grown yet and you're wondering, okay, what kind of a time commitment are we looking at? And of course they see me and they're like, why are you out here and you haven't given us any treats? So that's why they're talking so much. So I've got 5 birds right now. I'm going to have hopefully 8. I'm in the San Antonio area. And when we moved into this home, which is a rental home, we got this huge coop. Now right now my chickens are only living in this coop. They've got nesting boxes, they've got roosts, they've got their food and water and a dust bath, and everything that they need is in that space. So this situation is a little bit unique. Now, you guys, if you've watched my other videos, you know that we are planning on giving them a whole bunch of yard space. And it's great if you use existing structures, because we're basically not going to have to do hardly any work at all. They're going to get that dead zone that's kind of a waste of space between the back of the coop and the fence. They're going to get what's back behind the shed. They're going to get a grazing box and all that stuff. Honestly, though, once I add that square footage to the girls, it's not going to add any more chores, because that area is just kind of going to grow as it will. I'm going to plant a couple of things in there. I'm going to get their grazing box started. A grazing box is essentially just a protected garden where the chickens can bite stuff when it gets tall enough to come up through the hardware cloth, but they can't rip anything out by the roots. So they're basically, you know, giving your grass or whatever a haircut, but they can't kill whatever's in there. I do have a video about a grazing box too. But even though I don't have that run yet, that run, literally the only work that it's going to require for me is to open up the gate to let the girls out in the morning and then close it at night. That's it. So the majority of the work is going to be, you know, within the coop itself. And when we're talking about chicken chores, most of the stuff is just a quick once over, once a day. And then there are a couple of things that you want to do every 5 to 7 days, kind of more like, you know, you do that once a week deep cleaning type situation. But once you get used to checking on chickens, and especially if you try to set up a lot of the things that I have set up, it makes your life a lot easier, because instead of like reinventing the wheel every day and doing every single thing every day, you're not having to do that. So real quick, I've got a waterer in there that's a 5-gallon bucket. I would suggest either doing that or hooking up something with a hose. We just didn't, it'd be super inconvenient for us to try to run a hose all the way back over here and all of that kind of thing. But their food and their water I have set up, it's enough for them for a minimum of 5 days. I could probably stretch it to longer than that, but I do clean out their water, you know, more often than that. So, you know, in case something really weird happens, like I have 2 children who are getting over like random fevers right now. Like, I don't know what the hell, like, you know, it's the end of May. It's beautiful, warm weather here in South Texas, and both of my kids are sick. So, but just in case something goofy happens, my chickens aren't going to be affected negatively if I can't get out here for one morning. So I really, really advocate having something like that. You can hang it, you can build, in my coop hacks video, that's one of the most popular videos I've got. It works really well for any kind of coop, but especially if you buy a little coop kit type situation, just some hacks that, you know, that you can use to just make it more efficient and work better for you. I had a PVC waterer that you basically can fill up from outside the coop, but obviously it's in there with the chickens. If you're going to do anything like that, though, especially if it's going to be using plastic, just make sure that it's food grade plastic. For example, we made the mistake of using like a big cat litter bucket, like one of those huge buckets that you buy like a huge amount of cat litter in. That is not food grade safe, which means that plastic is not designed to ever hold anything that's going to be consumed. So just be careful. There's my feeder, which holds, God, that's enough food for them for at least 4 days, and that's hanging so that they can't spill it and make as much of a mess. If you want to see why I use the pellets versus the crumble, I have a video on that. Like, here's what both types of food look like. It has the same nutritional value, it has the same breakdown, but it's just, you know, the shape that it's in. But the most important things that you're going to want to check every single day for the safety of your birds is, in my opinion, is to do a predator walk around and to check their food and water. Yes, really, you should be cleaning their poop every day, but as long as your coop has good ventilation, and you guys know how important good ventilation is to me. I've lost 2 birds as a new chicken owner because they got way too hot and I didn't know, and you know, it cost me 2 little lives. So ventilation is a huge, huge, huge thing that I advocate. So, I mean, yeah, you should be scraping out poop every day if you can and things like that. But, I mean, your chickens they will suffer if they're without clean water for, I mean, even just a couple of hours. Whether that means that it freezes or it fell over or it's dirty and they won't drink it, or, you know, it's spilled or whatever the thing is. So they have to have food and water at all times, and you need to make sure that they're safe. So what I recommend, let's get into the actual chicken chores. The first thing I would do, and it sounds kind of ridiculous, but I would check all of the doors, all of the locks. If you have sliding windows, check all of that, and then check the perimeter. And you're just making sure that there aren't persistent predators who are basically coming back every night and making a little progress. And then they come back the next night and they make a little progress. So you want to check that all of your locks are doing okay. Nothing looks like it's been ripped or bitten or anything like that. I do have predator videos. I have the, you know, building your ideal coop, where I talk about predators for a long time. Typically with chickens, you've got two different kinds of predators, right? You have the flying ones, which you don't really have to worry about for your coop. That's more for when they're, you know, they're out foraging, they're free ranging, that kind of thing. But then you have the digging predators. And the digging predators, I will say, in my opinion, are the smarter ones because they're really persistent. They're problem solvers. We're talking about intelligent mammals like raccoons, possums, bobcats, wild neighborhood dogs, coyotes, all kinds of stuff. And some of them want the eggs, and some of them want chicks, and some of them want anything they can grab. A raccoon, if it can get its hand in, it will literally pop off a chicken's leg. Other predators, they like to rip heads off. So you want to make sure that there's no place where they have started to make progress digging under. You know, I can help you with predator proofing. My videos, I talk about predator proofing a lot. Of course, you want hardware cloth, right? Because that's too small for anything to get through. And then you want to have something underneath all the way around. Okay. Your chickens sleep really deeply at night, including those great protective, helpful roosters. When they're asleep, I mean, it's like they won't really hear anything unless it's something really crazy. So I would do a quick walk around, just make sure everything looks normal. And like I said, I worry the most about intelligent, and they're usually nocturnal too, right? Those intelligent mammalian predators, those carnivores like raccoons and possums. Snakes can get through too, but most snakes are either going to go after baby chicks or they want to eat your eggs. And some of those snakes, like rat snakes, yeah, they may eat an egg every once in a while, but they also will kill rats and other problems. So it's kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So just walking around, making sure everything looks good. Then the other main thing you want to do is double check food and water. So I'll show you, like, literally this is what I do when I go in. Hi, Blue. Hello, beautiful girl. That's Bluebird, formerly known as Miss Moppet. She's the one who had bumblefoot when I got her. And through methods that did not include surgery, thank you God, I was able to save her. And that's not a credit to me, that's just a credit to the fact that her case was, I caught it early enough that I was able to do something. Alright, so this is literally what I do with my food and water. I do keep it elevated, and I have the little cup waterer, drinker, pecker thing. I have it turned away because as they dig around in here and dust bathe in this, I don't want them getting stuff in there. Everybody is so loud. You gotta lay an egg, Gracie Bird. She likes laying in that bucket. I don't know why. She just likes that thing. She just likes to sit in there. You can go on in, Gracie. Go on in, girl. Girls are so talkative this morning. Alright, so here's what I do. So this feeder is good for days and days and days. It goes all the way around, etc., etc. I literally just rotate it and shake it like this to fill it back up. Make sure the food is good, nothing's weird, it hasn't gotten wet, anything like that. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Lacey Bird. And then on their water, I make sure, you know, I rock the bucket. Okay, yeah, I mean, this thing holds 5 gallons. I just filled it up, so it's still good. I test this thing. And then, I don't know if you can see, there is a little bit of gravel in there. Excuse me, ma'am. So I just clean it out, because if it gets too full of junk, they can't peck down that little, excuse me, they can't peck down that little yellow thing, like it basically gets jammed if it has too much crap underneath it. So, why are you making a mess, Calypso? Show off for the camera, you little brat. Okay, so there's that, and there's checking for predators. Now, yes, like I said, it would be great if you can clean out poop every day. And I do that in 2 ways. You gotta remember that your chickens poop when they sleep. So wherever their butts are when they're sleeping, that's where the poop is going to be. So you could see they sleep in that top roost there. So there's a little bit on the bucket and there's stuff back there. So I have, you can do things 2 ways. You can either use, let me come back out real quick. You can either use a rake, and this is one of the cheaper rakes that I got at Lowe's. I love it because it's really easy for a short little woman like me to use. It's really lightweight and it's adjustable. So by pulling that pin and adjusting it, you can determine how wide those things go. Right now it's pretty narrow, but you can change the width, and I know that was like a horrible demonstration. But then it just hangs right there. For me, I don't really bother that much with picking up poop on the ground unless it's really messy. I just use the rake and I stir it up and I mix it around, because I mean, it's gonna decompose. I almost said disintegrate. That's not the same thing. If your chickens are pooping in the nesting box like a lot, then that means they're sleeping in it. So, you know, you can check and make sure there's not, I don't know, there's not snakes in there and there's not anything goofy. I honestly am not taking the eggs out every day. I'm only taking them out every 2 or so. My chickens just, I don't know, I like letting them sit on more eggs. And then for this coop, I can also, this is where I have to open up to access most of their overnight poop. So the other thing I use is, hey, another 5-gallon bucket that does not have to be food grade. And I use a cat litter scoop, because if you use something like PDZ, which is like equine litter, and I have multiple videos where I talk about PDZ. It's $15 a bag at my Tractor Supply. You are only going to find it like at a Tractor Supply place, because it's really designed for equine uses, like it's for horses. But it basically acts like cat litter. So your chickens poop on it and it clumps up just on where the poop is. So you're not wasting a lot of material every time. I do not want to use straw or anything that's long like that, because my chickens will try to consume it and I don't want them jamming up their gizzard or their crop or anything like that. So I just use the cat litter scoop and I go through and I scoop up as much poop as I can, and you know, I agitate the ground, move the ground around a little bit. But the number one thing you've got to check every day, again, is to make sure that predator proofing, like you're good, there's not somebody who's making progress. Because again, all of those intelligent predators, if they figured out that they can get in, or that they're making progress and they're probably going to get in a few days, they will continue to come back every night. They remember. They are problem solvers. So, but paramount is, again, the predators and checking the food and water. That has to be done every day. Has to. And I'm not just talking about, like, if your chickens don't have food and water, then they're not going to lay as many eggs for you, because that's like sort of a selfish reasoning. But no, like literally for their health, like it will be very detrimental if your chickens are without water for even a couple of hours. So they do not eat and drink at night, so that's good. But, you know, I like to come out. I come out in the morning when I'm letting out my dogs. I don't have to come out and, like, check on my chickens, because I know they've got food and water. And I normally check on them, like, 3 or 4 times a day, because, I mean, I like being out here. I like being with them. I give them treats a couple times a day. If you gave them treats like a head of lettuce or cabbage or something, and there's any, you know, watermelon rinds or something left over that they didn't eat, you do want to clean that out. Don't let that get in there and rot. I know. So the only other thing is cleaning out poop, and that's it. This right here is a deodorizing spray. I've talked about it in my chicken chores video. There are different recipes on Pinterest and stuff like that. That one's just to make it smell good, and it's a little bit of a wasp deterrent, but in and of itself is not really helping enough with the wasps. So, but that's it. I mean, chickens, honestly, for somebody like me who did not grow up on a farm, I did grow up with lots of dogs and cats and indoor pets, but this has been like a very, you know, a big transition for me, a big change, because these animals live outside. And so it's kind of like, are they okay? Oh, it's outside. Oh, it's raining. Oh, it's cold. But I mean, they're designed for living outside. So they are, you know, a lot more independent than, you know, your dog or your cat or whatever, because I mean, they're hanging out here. So temperature wise, I have videos on winterizing your coop. I have about keeping chickens cool. I will tell you, you need to worry a lot more about your chickens getting too hot in the summer. Okay, most birds, and these are, the breeds that I have here are Texas friendly breeds, so they're meant to be a little bit more, you know, heat hardy than some of the breeds that you find up north. But even so, you need to be careful as it gets hot. I personally don't recommend using anything that requires electricity, whether it's a space heater or it's a fan or anything like that. Every year on the Backyard Chicken Forums, there's somebody whose entire coop burns down. We've had people who, like, their house burned down as well because of fires, because of electronics, because of electric stuff. So I personally, that there's just too much of a risk for that. We've got a mister that we're going to put out over their zone, their outside zone. I'm just not going to run it 24/7 because I don't want anything to mold. You know, giving them, you could see over there, bottles that are full of water, freezing them, and then putting it in a bowl with water, giving them a little kiddie pool or something where they can just stand in, things like that. But on a daily basis, the chores that, you know, that have to be done every day, it's easily less than 10 minutes once you've got your system up and running. And now I just get to sit here and hang out with birds. I really miss having like a good seating area for me, so I'm gonna have to put like a chair or a stool or a rock or something once I make their little outdoor zone. We're gonna start working on it this weekend too. I hope it's Memorial Day weekend, so I'm excited. But I mean, and of course you can build things for your chickens. You know, you can give them treats, you can make swings and all kinds of stuff for them. Somebody please make a swing for your chicks, because my chickens won't use one. They weren't raised with one. You have to kind of teach them how to use it when they're young. But my next batch of chicks, whenever I do that again, I do want to get them a swing. But I mean, chicken chores, it's really straightforward. You know, once a week, I'll go through and do more of a deep cleaning where I take time to rake everything really well. You know, to add more bedding and stuff like that if you need to, add more PDZ, clean out the pine in the nesting boxes. If you do herbs and dried flower petals and stuff like that, clean all that stuff out. They've got oyster shell here, make sure that that's full. You know, they've got their dust bath that you can add in more diatomaceous earth. I mean, that's kind of like the once a week, my Sunday morning. My husband's here to help with the kids, so I'm going to go out with the chickens. And I mean, I'll take my time out here and spend a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But I mean, chickens, honestly, they're extremely stressful and they're a ton of work and time when they're little babies. But once they are fully feathered and they're old enough to live outside, they can control their own body temperature. Really, I mean, if you get a good system going where, you know, you've got a few days worth of food and water and stuff like that, I mean, the day-to-day, it's very minimal. It's not that much time at all. I mean, the time that it's taken me to blab here on this video is way longer than what it would take you to actually do the work. So I clean the trash regularly. You know, I don't let there be flies or anything like that. You can go through and trim plants or change pots around or add more material if you need to. You know, all different kinds of stuff like that. But that's it. This girl's hanging out and preening and doing chicken stuff. So I love doing requests. I am going to have another like chicken product review coming pretty quick. We are going to start building the run this weekend, I hope. And so I'm going to plant their grazing box with wheatgrass again, I think. Get some plants going back there, start putting up the perimeters for them. So, and there might be some other big changes coming. Time will tell. I'll tell you guys about it in another week or so. If you haven't watched the Coop name ideas, the video that I just released a few days ago, it's another one from May 2019. Go watch it because I've written out all the finalist possibilities of names for this chicken coop. I think we're down to Cluckingham Palace and Hinterfell and Mount Everest, I think, are the three. So we've got to see. But I love helping you guys. I hope that it's useful. I try to reply to comments as quickly as I can, but my YouTube app is kind of goofy, so you can also always email me here if you have questions or anything like that. But I try to help with chicken-friendly plants. I try to help with chicken medication or anything that I know a lot or a little bit about. I'm always learning. I love learning from you guys and getting ideas. So thanks for watching. I'm Sarah, the Real Simple Mama.